Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Wealth for Real Facebook page, going live on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. I think it's my first live in 2024, actually. Really was out of it for the last almost month of 2023, the good chunk of that month, and then the first couple weeks of this month. So I want to get on a live with you guys, just kind of check in on a bunch of stuff going on. I mean, some quick things just to get out of the way. In the stock portfolio, added 100 shares of Wendy's late last week. Just really based on the gut feeling that when we go into the ugly recession that's coming, that we're going to see, fast food in more demand. It'll be the new, eating out, the new gourmet, I think, as I put it in the past. Not that my horizon is so short term as to say I only care about the next couple of years with the recession that's coming. Definitely wouldn't say that. But I just think there could be a little boost there that I get from it over the next 1 to 3 years, but really holding it for the very, very long term. If it crashes between now and the recession happening, I would like to get more of it. But that was something I did late last week. Another item is just, been putting off the long-term care decision for a while now. The agent at New York Life that was really very painstaking and really excellent about walking me through all the different options, not just for long-term care, but for disability and whole life, checked in with me. I think she checked in early last week. I still haven't responded to her. I just feel really bad about not moving on that yet, but there's a big immovable object in the way of that I'll get to in a second that's really been influencing that decision. So like I said, I'll come back to that in a moment, but need to close that loop there. And then just kind of holding steady on the gold. Haven't done anything different with gold. Bought a handful of ounces of gold in September and haven't really done anything with it since then. Just, bought it for the next 30 to 50 years and, not too concerned about it. I think the one open item for me is, should I add more? Should I have added more then? Should I be adding more now? So that's always going to kind of nag at me a little bit. So basically those are a couple things just want to get out of the way. The other quick hit before I get to the biggie is I finished Chaos Kings, the book that really profiled Nassim Taleb and Mark Spitznagel and Didier Sornet. I finished that right before the new year. Or maybe the Christmas weekend. It was either Christmas or New Year's weekend. I finished that book and I pivoted to Capital Without Borders, which was a book that I came across when I was reading in early 2023 about the Getty Family Trust, the oil guy. And in that article about how his great granddaughters were feuding with each other. They were feuding with their financial manager, their wealth manager, something like that. I'm sure I've put up some material about it on the various platforms about a year ago, if you guys want to dig that up. But anyway, I read in that article a bunch of books that were referenced, I came across a bunch of books that were referenced in that article that I ended up purchasing after I finished the article, and one of them was Capital Without Borders. And it basically is this lady who infiltrated the wealth management profession and learned it from the inside out, and learned how ultra wealthy, preserve wealth over many generations. They avoid taxes. They avoid confiscation of their wealth. I mean, it's almost like a feudal kind of situation. I mean, in the first couple of chapters of the book that I've gotten through, that's one of the comparisons she makes is to back in the 13 and 1400s when, knights going off to the Crusades left their possessions in trust so that they could be passed on to other family members and not seized while they were off fighting in the Crusades. So I mean, just really, really fascinating topic overall for me, and I think this is a really interesting take on it, that this woman did what she did to kind of break into the industry and kind of, expose it from the inside out, whether you agree with, her take on it or not. I think it's a really fascinating way to go about it. So I'm looking forward to getting through that book, talking to you guys more about that. To be honest with you guys, the big issue, the big thing that I'm dealing with, that I'm going to break down into more specific content going forward, I mean, this is really just a teaser, top level kind of thing, is the absolute, misery that I've encountered in trying to apply for a mortgage to buy a home, and doing so from the standpoint of a self-employed borrower. One of the things that you won't hear much of, if at all, when you go out and you see all these influencers on the web and stuff talking about start your own business, do everything through an LLC, write off every single thing you can write off. I don't disagree with them. In fact, I've done a lot of those things and benefited from them. But when it's time to go get a traditional loan or time to get a mortgage on a house that you want to buy, and you come at them from that direction, the 1099, self-employed, S-corp, write off every single thing under the sun standpoint, you're going to run into a brick wall, guys. I have run like flat out, headlong into a massive brick wall. I mean, just cannot get anyone, and I'm not even talking traditional banks only, guys. I'm talking programs that are geared towards 1099s and self-employed. They still won't lend to me because of certain quirks in the way I receive the income. And the two big ones, guys, which again, I will go into more detail on this in future content. But the two big quirks for me is that business income was broken up over multiple LLCs, and they couldn't add it all together. They couldn't say, oh, okay, Chris, you have like 2 or 3 businesses here making money. Let's add them all up, and that's your total gross business income. They could only take the top one, right? They couldn't do like 2 sources, 3 sources, 4 sources. They wouldn't do that. So that's been a huge problem. And the other problem is the income that I receive from rental properties, because I only have an aggregate stake of about 8% in those properties. When you take all the rental properties that I have some kind of ownership share of, I only own about 8% of them, right? There's properties that are 20%, some are 10%, some are 1%. There's all kinds of variation to it. But when you aggregate it all together and you say, okay, Chris, how much of this property do you actually own? What percentage owner are you of the portfolio? It is only between 8 and 9%. So guess what? They don't count any of the income. So we're talking about the second largest income source that I have is not even counted. It's just wiped away. It's like, well, it's like you don't get it because you own less than 25%. I even said to them, I was like, guys, I can show you bank statements back to 2015. I literally can show you 8 years, 96 months of deposits from these rental properties, 8 times 12. And they're like, no good. Can't count it. So even within this space of being a non-traditional borrower, going to those programs and those lenders have yielded nothing. So that's something that I plan on really kind of going into some more finer detail with you guys. Look, I'm not saying which way to go here, guys. I'm not saying you should be a W-2 so you can get a mortgage, or you should be a business owner so that you can write off all your stuff on your tax. I'm not going to tell you which one is right for you. Only you could decide. But you have to know going into either one of those situations what you are not getting, right? Like what the cons are that go with the pros. And specifically when we talk about content that you're going to run into out there about owning a business, starting a business, tax optimization, owning rental property, all these things, you need and you want to be aware. If you want to be a homeowner at some point, you've got to be aware of this stuff because it's real and it's out there, and it can be really, really tricky when it comes to applying for a mortgage. So more to follow on that, guys. Like I said, just wanted to do a quick check-in on this live. I'll be coming back to you with more regularity now that we're kind of settled into the new year. So hope everybody had a great new year and holiday season and all that, and a great start to 2024. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for checking in on the channel, on the page here, and I will be back with you guys real soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.